So happy March to everyone. We usually like to start just by giving some numbers on how the community is doing in terms of Slack, PRs, contributions, and whatnot. So just to give you a bit of the feeling on how busy every day is in the Open Metadata project. And if you have not, and you're like, oh, looks like there's a Slack channel, we'll share the link of that on the chat here. So in case that you have any further questions about open metadata, you are trying to start some POC or whatnot in your company and would like some help in the setup, please feel free to ask. We have dozens and dozens and dozens of people that have already deployed open metadata in prod. They are very happy, they are very successful. So if you want to be happy and successful as well, go on, deploy it, ask any questions. We can help you make this happen. Then for today, also, we have a very interesting agenda with a community spotlight. And you see here Shiyang that he has joined us from SAS. And they have actually developed a connector from SAS Viya into Open Metadata. So they are going to explain us a bit what it is, this SAS Viya platform. They gave me a bit of a preview yesterday. I had no idea about SAS, so that looks really interesting. And actually knowing that we can get all of those goodies into Open Metadata makes it even better. And then we'll jump into some highlights from the 1.3.0 release. As you know, all of our releases, they come packed with a bunch of new exciting features. So today we'll talk about the new alert system, new Lineage, and the incident manager. So hopefully you'll find that as exciting as we do, and you will be able to start getting even more out of your open metadata deployments. So let's just start with some numbers. Since our last meeting in February, we have had 10 more open source developers. So thanks a lot to everyone that helps us day after day after day with feedback, with contributions, opening PRs into the repo to make sure that open metadata keeps improving. So thanks a lot. If you want to get started, we have some good first issues that you can find in GitHub. So don't be shy. We are more than happy to guide you. We have a lot of guides on how you can set up your own environment, develop new connectors and whatnot. So we are here to help. Please have some time enjoying open metadata from the development room as we do. We have earned more than 200 stars since February. So also getting very, very close to this 4,000. If you are here, you love the product as we do, please go start us in GitHub. That's one of the easiest way that you have to help us get the word out and share the excitement on the rest of the people that also need to tidy up a bit their data platform. A very awesome number on Slack, where we have crossed the 5,000 mark of members. Thank you to all of you that have been joining, that have been an active member on the community. Please, if you are not there, you can join us. We are every day to answer your questions, get your feedback, and basically work together and see how we can improve the product. And finally, 54 more people that has been joining us our socials on Twitter. If you want to know when we are getting these some blogs out, some releases, or even these community meetings, please join us on Twitter, and you can also follow the Open Metadata group on Meetup, when you will get also all of these alerts and emails about meetings such as today. And again, this is also quite fun because in February, we also had 12 new community contributors. So same number that we have here in early March. So thanks again to everyone that has been putting the time and the effort on making us shape and improve open metadata as a product. We have had 12 new people here playing and having fun with the code. Again, don't be shy. We are more than happy to see your contributions here. And in terms of community metrics, so you can see the number of PRs is always stable at around 75. So if we average it, we are still on these 75 PRs per week that the team and the community keeps shipping. And the number of support questions keeps, again, very, very stable and even increasing in the last few weeks. So a lot of activity that we have in the support channel. So here, as you know, on the team, we are working very hard to answer absolutely all of the questions that you can have to make you successful, to make you enjoy open metadata the most. But I'm sure that some of you are already veterans. If you want to give us a hand, if you want to also help the rest of the people in the community succeed and you have the knowledge, don't be shy, jump in the threads, guide the rest of the people the same way that we were happy to guide you when you first joined. So let's make sure that we can keep helping and we can keep crunching these numbers so that more people can go and can properly deploy and make use of open metadata. And that being said, I'm going to pass the word to Shiyang and Liz. They come from SaaS. In this community spotlight, they are going to be talking about the SaaS Viya connector. So I'm going to stop my screen. And please, Shiyang, Liz, thanks again for participating, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Per. Let me share my screen real quick. Good morning. Well, thank you all for attending. Thank you to the OpenMetadata community for the opportunity to showcase SaaS information governance and the work that SaaS has done for the SaaS Viya connector. My name is Xiao. I am a associate software engineer development and testing, and my presenter. Her name is Liz McIntosh. Her current position is principal software developer. We both work under the data management division within SaaS. Liz has been a great mentor along the way. Fortunately, she's been feeling a bit under the weather, so it's just going to be me this time. So today we're going to give a bit of background on SaaS information governance to provide context for the type of information available to open metadata. We're going to talk about why we choose to provide a connector to open metadata, then cover the key features that were implemented. I discuss a bit about development for both development and production, and show the implementation. So, what are some of the business challenges that corporate face in the modern world with the fast-growing data? Well, over the last decade, organizations have been going through massive refactoring of the data ecosystem. Organizations want to leverage data as a differentiator to drive innovation and business value. Data consumers are requesting more and more data, but at the same time, they want to know where it comes from and how reliable it is. They ask for the end of tribal knowledge and for the absence of data democracy. The demand for data and access data is also increasing. However, without the consideration of the data volume, the location, and the IT effort needed for delivering it in the most appropriate way to the end user. So, intelligent governance through metadata has its core value, openness and trust. SaaS Viya is a unique platform that brings together all aspects of the analytics lifecycle, making it easy for different users persons to work with data at different stages and collaborate effectively. So some of the key features that SaaS information governance include the ability to tag, classify, and add business logic and terms, discover data across multiple data sources, provide valuable insights through profiling and semantic types information. Discover data can be accessed to determine the quality and fit of the data. Metadata, descriptive, and data quality measures are provided in an easy-to-understand, business-friendly interface. Insights gained through profiling and democratization of assets are shared and are searchable with the team through SaaS information governance. Uh, SaaS, recognize, SaaS recognizes the importance of offering organizations the ability to make SaaS data insights and user collaboration accessible beyond the SaaS Viya deployment. For organizations with complex ecosystems, bringing metadata together from various sources helps provide a unified view of data where data consumers and IT have a common understanding of business terms, systems that no longer fragmented, data is managed and well understood, which all leads to an increased trust in the data used to drive business. So organizations that chooses to leverage open metadata as a single place to discover, collaborate, and get the data right, can use the SaaS Viya connector to add SaaS metadata to the OpenMetadata ecosystem. When we began looking at OpenMetadata as an option, I read some of Suresh's blog. It was clear that he and the OpenMetadata team had been thinking about the problems organizations face with data management for years. That combined with a proven open source leadership experience helped gives confidence that this project could deliver. Some of the key features that make OpenMetadata an attractive option, open source option for us include the architecture that is simple, easy to deploy with minimum dependencies. And the schema is well modeled, strongly typed, and clearly documented. And the community involvement, which has continued to grow since we first started looking at open metadata, as Pero was just shared earlier in the meeting, that there's over 3.7K stars on the project on GitHub, over 5,000 Slack members, and 225 contributors, and over 75 plus connectors. But all this sums up to that it gives us confidence that open metadata can provide uses to organizations. And now I'm going to cover the features that we use the most when developing the connectors, the development, and the implementation. Working with open metadata has been a rewarding experience, offering rich collaboration opportunity with the open source community. Allow me to dive into various aspects of our journey with the open metadata. Let's begin by highlighting the features that have been implemented, that has been instrumental to us. The injection framework stands out as the backbone of our efforts, facilitating seamless metadata transfer from SaaS Viya to open metadata. Much of our time was dedicated to configuring and managing ingestion framework, which is made convenient by the ability to execute workflow locally rather than solely relying on the open metadata user interface. The comprehensive documentation provided by open metadata was valuable, with allowing us to quickly set up prerequisites and dive into our tasks. Lastly, I want to express our gratitude to the open metadata community and fellow contributors, particularly Para, Harsha, Shilpa, and others who provided support and guidance throughout our journey. Uh, Now, I want to talk about some of the pinpoints and recommendations that we have regarding our experience. Transitioning to okay. So the first point is that managing dependencies manually in complex projects proved to be time consuming and error prone. Leveraging packages managers like pip streamline the process, but we suggest exploring predefined Docker images to further simplify deployment. Moreover, navigating a platform with an abundance of features can be overwhelming, which comprehensive documentations and examples are crucial to assist users in effortlessly utilizing the platform. And last but not least, improved documentations is also needed to address errors during data injection process, minimizing delays in data processing and analyzing. Reflecting on our experience in leveraging and managing open metadata, we initially utilized Docker container for local development before deploying it to a production environment on OpenStack infrastructure as a service. Helm chart was employed to seamlessly deploy the open metadata package on Kubernetes. Now, let's explore three major features of the SaaS Viya connector. So on the connector aspect, customer have the option to use credential to connect the connector to their SaaS Viya deployment. by using criteria of natural language or faceted search to filter metadata based on various type of assets that SAS Viya supports, which include data tables, reports, and studio flows. We also implemented tables using table services, highlighting key features such as basic table profiles, assets relationships, and SAS customer properties, which include metadata that are associated with a particular table. Additionally, we introduced SAS reports and SAS studio flow through the dashboard services. Now, let us dive into the actual implementation. So this is what the connector looks like. You can see that from the top, user have the option to input their credentials, the option to turn on and off certain assets that they would want it to be included in the injection, as well as the option to filter out various type of asset based on natural search. We also included a link to the specific documentations that user can look into to see how to use the faceted search more effectively. Next is the table services. From the top, you can see that we use there's the topology of the name of the connector, which in this case is Prover. And next you have the provider, which is Cashier default. And then you see the name of the library, which is catalog prod. And now, right now, we're looking at the UK bank customer tables with a short description, shows when this table was last analyzed, and as well as a link that brings them to the particular assets in within SAS information catalog. Next, there are columns which was with their corresponding data types. And last but not least, the custom properties, which showcase some of the other metadata that are associated with that particular table. And next, when user click into profile and data quality tab, they can see some of the basic information that we include for the table, such as the amount row count, column count, the size of the table, as well as the creation date. If customer would want to find out more information about this particular tables, they can always click on the link in the description, which will bring them to the SAS Viya. SAS information catalog in SAS Viya. Now let's talk about the dashboard services, which we have implemented our SAS reports as well as SAS studio flows. And here you're looking at the SAS reports dashboard with a list of all the reports that live in it. And on the bottom, you can see that that includes the name of the report as well as the link that will bring them to their particular reports in SAS Viya. Well, as we look ahead, we are open to suggestions and feedback from the community regarding future milestones in our collaboration with OpenMetadata. We remain committed to addressing customer needs and evolving accordingly. And that is the bulk of our presentation. Thank you very guys for coming and listening. And now we move on to taking questions.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Shiyang, for the presentation. We are always happy to see all of the effort that people put, especially for connectors, because we know that it's not an easy task, right? You need to understand very well the source. You need to dive into the ingestion framework, the APIs, the models and whatnot. So it's always, we always get very happy, right? When we see this excitement that pulls people in to build these kinds of integrations. And that being said, super excited about the release 130 and fresh out of the oven 131. So for the rest of the meeting, we're going to highlight some of the most I don't want to say important features, but maybe some of the most exciting features, right? But before giving the word to Teddy and Harsha, some highlights that come here with the very packed release 1.3. So we have made more than 1,000 commits if we compare with the tag on the 1.2.5 release, and we come with Lineage UI revamp, data observability, alerts, and new notification system, brand new incident manager. That's going to be one of the main topics for today. We're going to really help you change all of the collaboration aspects on how you can manage and keep cleaning the data quality results. We have introduced the support of custom metrics for the profiler. So if there are some KPIs that you actually need to extract, or you want to extract from your data and want to keep track of how they are evolving, now you can do that directly using OpenMetadata. We have done a lot of improvements in the Knowledge Center, as you know, as part of the Collate deployment. We have also 3 new connectors from Collate as well for Alation, GCS, and ADLS. We have added, thanks to the help of the community, localization in a bunch of languages, and as well as RTL support for Hebrew. We also have revamped the UI for the setting page so that it's easier than ever just to figure out where the right information that you need is. We have added a Spark lineage agent for you to extract the lineage directly when you are executing your code on Spark notebooks or whatever it is that you are actually running Spark. So if you want to give it a try, give us some feedback, make sure that we can properly cover all of your use cases there. We know that Spark is a very vast framework, so don't hesitate to share any feedback about that, and we can keep improving all of this support there. We have also improved the tag synchronization for the glossary so that now it's just easier and easier and easier to manage all of these PII sensitive or any other classifications that you might have directly from your glossary pages. And finally, this was also very much requested by a lot of you folks. We have added this enumeration support, this quote unquote drop-down support for the custom properties, so you can predefine a set of elements that each custom property might need to fulfill. So all of that and much more, you can see the Medium post where we go much more in depth on all of this theater here. But for now, I'm just going to pass the word to Teddy, who is going to give us a very nice walkthrough on the incident manager. So Teddy, please.
Yes, thank you for this introduction, Perry. So as some of you may have already seen, either through the sandbox or because you've installed 1.3.0, in this release, we've introduced the incident manager. And the incident manager is one step closer to our goal when it comes to data quality and observability, right? With the addition of the incident manager, now you have the ability to keep your team informed in case of test case failure, and also keep them informed whenever there is ongoing resolution or a task failure has been resolved. And we'll show you how that works in a little bit. And what we really also try to implement with the incidents manager is to have a centralized place for you and your team to look at past failure resolutions, right? So that you can solve new failures that may happen faster by looking at what has happened in the past. Maybe some failure have repeated, and you keep that context and that information centralized and contextualized within the context of your data, right? And then in that specific release, we've also added an auto classification of the incident severity with the open source version. So it's a simple classification that use some regression to classify the severity of an incident and give you extra information as to how important the test case failure may be. And as you know, it's usual with open metadata, and it's part of our philosophy. If you have team inside your organization that have the skill to create more advanced classification, then you can do so, right? Your team can come and override some parameter in the configuration file and leverage and use your own classification model to then have certain severity classification automated inside OpenMetadata. So let me share my screen really quick, Per, so that I can give a quick tour of that new functionality. So in 1.3, now when you navigate to the left section, you have an incident manager tab that shows. That incident manager tab will list all of the incidents that have occurred inside the platform, and those incidents corresponds to a test case failure, right? And so here I can see that I have 6 incidents. Some are newly generated incidents. So those are test case failures that have happened and no action has been taken. And I have some incidents that have been acknowledged, meaning that someone have acknowledged the incidents. And now whenever I navigate to that table, I can see that there is an ongoing failure and that someone is taking care of it. And then I can also see that some have been assigned, right? Assigned to myself. And then I can see the different severity of the incidents. So these were auto-generated, and then you can always add the severity yourself, right? So you can decide, the severity of the specific failure. So here we can say that's a severity 5, and that will show up here, and it will provide extra information as to what is going on. Now, if I click on a specific incident, so let's go and look at the unique incident. Now I can see my test case failure, right? So I can see this test has been failing for quite a long time now. And then I can see information about the failure, right? I can see that I have 93% of my rows that are failing, and that I have an open incident, which is that one, and that someone has been assigned to it, right? And so now I can clearly and start, digging into that information. Now, if I move over to the incidents tab, what I can see is that I had one incident that has been closed in the past, right? So I can go ahead and check as to what happened here, right? So we can see it was resolved on March 2, that it was assigned to myself, and we have the comment of the resolution, right? So now if I look at my open incident, I can actually start and engage and create a conversation directly here, similar to how it works in other part of OpenMetadata. I can tag people, mention some assets and whatnot. And then whenever I'm going to resolve that incident, I will pick a reason. So maybe we were missing some data. We can write a comment. So the data were out of sync because of upstream pipeline, and then we'll submit that. And now that information resides directly inside the platform, right? So I have the failure comment, and I can come back to those incidents and understand what has happened if I ever see new failure of that test case, right? So, yeah. So to conclude, right, we're improving and iterating over the test case, the data quality and observability tool to make sure that OpenMetadata is here as a tool to make your life easier as an analyst, as an engineer, or as a business user consuming data inside the platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Teddy. Actually, this incident manager is one of my favorite new features. I think that it would have made our life easier, way easier when we were working more tightly as data engineers. So thanks a lot for the effort that you put there. And as always, any feedback that you have, anyone laying that out, I'd like to see these in a different way or whatnot. We can keep improving. We can keep iterating, making sure that we can check all of these boxes and all of these requirements. So actually, Harsha, since you go next.
So then talking about one of the biggest features of OpenMetadata, Lineage, right? So this is kind of a highlight reel of what we put together so far. We've been working really hard at it for the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years, right? So if you look at OpenMetadata is always built on APIs and specifications. That's one of the strengths of OpenMetadata. That's what allows us to build the awesome, cool features of incident manager, data quality, including Lineage. And the first thing we have done is to build Lineage APIs, right? If you look at the specification, it's so simple, it's so vast that connects any object within the open metadata, any data asset with any other data asset. So that gives you a flexibility to connect to a container in S3 bucket, to a table in Redshift, to a dashboard in Power BI, and so on. So that's the first step that we took to build Lineage APIs. That's where the journey started. Now, we spent a lot of time building a SQL parser. This is by far, in my opinion, best leading parsers to get the lineage out of your query logs, out of your Power BI dashboards and everything else. So we worked with SQL Fluff community. We built our own SQL lineage parser on top of it, using better strategies to kind of work with different dialects. Be it a Snowflake, be it a Postgres, be it a MySQL, irrespective of the SQL that you're using, we were able to analyze it and derive column level lineage, including the stored position that we added in 1.2.0, right? That's been, again, thanks to the community. You guys are giving amazing feedback. We know there is a query that is failing to parse. We are getting that input, and we're continuing to kind of improve that parser and make it the best that is available. Column level lineage, again, I don't remember exact release, 0.5, 0.6, we started giving column level lineage, one of the earliest metadata platforms to do so, including DBT column level lineage, right? So if you have a DBT project that you want to import into OpenMetadata, you'll get a column level lineage out of that. An amazing way to kind of explore how your models are kind of changing, who is reading from which model, and so on. And many of these data warehouses, for example, if you look at Snowflake, BigQuery, Redshift, those warehouses gives us query log tables. So that it's easier for us to connect query logs and analyze them, extract the lineage information, usage, and so on. But there are many cases, for example, if you look at the traditional relational databases, such as MySQL, Postgres, they don't give these kind of system level tables. So for that, we provided a way to collect query logs by yourself, put it into S3, put it into GCS, put it into Azure, and we will be able to connect to those query logs and analyze that lineage again, put it into OpenMetadata. Another easier way to kind of build lineage out of OpenMetadata. And when you're looking at the lineage in OpenMetadata, it's not just within the tables. We want to kind of give comprehensive overview of from end to end, all the way from containers, your tables, your dashboards, your ML models, pipelines, whatever it may be. We connect end-to-end lineage, and all of our connectors kind of work in sync. For example, if we take up our BI dashboard, right, it might be querying a Postgres database, it might be querying a Redshift database. You can connect multiple services across this Power BI dashboard and get the lineage connection available. One of the kind of greatest features that is available in these platforms. Finally, we also built way back in the early releases manual lineage editor. Right, in any companies, there might be kind of a traditional data sources that is harder to connect, harder to collect lineage. So you can encourage your data stewards, your kind of knowledge, the people who understand this lineage very well, enable them to come and annotate the lineage editor. So you can go to any lineage, click on edit button, and annotate and connect different nodes together. So these are all the features that are available today in OpenMetadata. If you go to the next slide. So what we have done in 1.3.0. One of the interesting that we keep getting is there is larger level lineage nodes, like as a depth wise, as a height wise. We have users who we have thousands of nodes within one level. So how do we scale a lineage query for a really large hundreds of thousands of, if not hundreds of case nodes, and ability to display end-to-end lineage, right? When you come to a lineage view, you should be able to ask, give me kind of 10 depth, 10th height. So how do we scale that, right? So to do that, we publish the lineage. We use search indexes for all of our queries, all of our discovery needs. We thought of how about linking those documents that are already there in Elasticsearch and OpenSearch. And in general, indexing and Elasticsearch kind of services gives us very efficient way of querying it. And we can actually make graph-like queries on top of search indexes as well. So with 1.3.0, we are pushing all of our data that is stored in your MySQL or Postgres into Elasticsearch and OpenSearch, similar to what you do today, right, for your search queries. And we annotate all of those nodes, put in relations between them, saying that a table in Redshift is connected to an S3 bucket, or a table in Snowflake is being queried by dashboard. All of this data is already indexed into your Elasticsearch and OpenSearch. And this gives us an ability from the API standpoint to query n number of levels, either you look at depth-wise or height-wise, and efficiently display the data. Now, previously, if you look at kind of current installations of your OpenMetadata, it gives you kind of a minimal information on the node level, which is, hey, this table belongs to this service, this is a fully qualified name, and all of that, right? That is essentially the data that we are collecting from the API standpoint, if you look at the Add Lineage API. But with the ability to kind of integrate into Elastic or OpenSearch, we are able to bring additional properties, like who owns this table directly, and does it have any data quality results that we can display? Which service it belongs through icons and everything else. Is it a DBT model? So a lot more richer information now coming towards in Lineage view in 1.3.0. And another important point, when you have a lineage of this scale with hundreds of nodes, thousands of nodes at different levels, you want to be able to search that lineage. Like column-based, for example, customer ID is a column that I'm interested in. Not only now you will be able to search, even if the customer IDs change the name, we will be able to connect through that. Let's take an example of address, like address in one table probably changed into address underscore zip code. Let's say I'm giving a bad example, but that's coming from as a column names. Even the column names is transformed, we will be able to connect from end to end that lineage and draw the tracing point. And that is the power of the ability to kind of now putting the lineage in 1.3.0. Another example would be, hey, I'm a data steward or a data governance person. I want to look at in a large lineage graph, where is the PII sensitive data is flowing through. Now I can only focus on that graph rather than the entirety of my my service, my details. So these are the things that we brought in. Apart from that, I think Perry already pointed out about Spark Lineage Client. We had earlier an integration with Spline, and most of our users and customers are not kind of interested in using Spline. There are many users who are still using it, but we wanted to make it easier for people to get Spark Lineage out of your Databricks jobs into OpenMetadata using Spark Lineage Client. Now you can do that as well. So with that, let me share my screen. So this is available today. You can go into the customer sandbox, any customer stable. So now you can actually see a very large view dropped for you. And you can also go into settings and say that, hey, I have a larger depth and downstream depth. And draw very end-to-end, and it's very efficiently drawn, very quick, because of the optimization that we used. So you can go n levels up deep, for example, all the way from my Kafka to my Redshift tables, and all the way to my Power BI dashboards, right? It gives you a perspective of how the data is flowing. And one of the interesting things that you probably noticed is now we are able to kind of showcase service icons. So at the eye level, I can see that, hey, in this lineage graph, I have a Tableau model. I do have a Redshift table that is coming in, an Airflow pipeline that is actually reading from my S3 bucket and putting into my raw table. And I also look at Snowflake. And all of these my Redshift tables are actually my DBT models, right? And apart from that, now you can also see the data quality results. These data quality results will come in even if you use our OpenMetadata quality, or if you're integrating with your DBT tests or Great Expectations. And that's a part of OpenMetadata, right? So you can bring all of this very interesting information right now. So what is the need for having data quality? Let's say I'm a Power BI user, and today I logged into my dashboard. I've seen something is wrong. The numbers doesn't look right. And I can come into my lineage. I can look at my order table is going wrong. Okay, there are 7 tests that are aborted, 1 test is failing. So that gives me a hint. Something might be wrong in this table. Maybe I can go look at it. Now, in 1.4, we're going to integrate with Incident Manager as well, right? We can draw the Incident Manager details and overlay here and show that, hey, there might be an incident happening here. So you can actually do root cause analysis right from here and say that, hey, why my dashboard is broken? I can come to the lineage. I can see that there's an incident happening. Go there, ask the person who assigned to the task, hey, what is the ETA of this particular incident to be resolved because my dashboard is broken, right? Giving the collaboration, bringing all this rich metadata right here in the lineage graph, overlaying, and the ability to kind of ability to kind of draw the end-to-end lineage right here. The other thing is, as I said, like, I want to look at, there's too much information for me. I'm more interested in what nodes that it is actually using PI sensitive data. Now, the larger node is kind of reduced and shows where the PI data is being transferred here, right? This gives you a much more intuitive knowledge of the, the data that I'm interested in, the data that I want to kind of govern or protect. It gives me where all this is moving around, right? If you see a table or a bucket that is created that shouldn't be created because it's a PI sensitive, you can actually come here and understand that, hey, this particular node, this particular entity should not exist, should not read API sensitive data. So easy to kind of govern the data that you're doing it. So similarly, you can do a lot more interesting here, either tier, service, column, even domain ownership. You can search based on this. So you can discover the data by keywords. Now you can discover and search based on the lineage graph as well. So that's what we are up to. That's what we have shipped in 1.3.1. A lot more interesting things are happening in coming 1.4 as well. We want to give you a way of kind of limiting like what exactly the information that you want to look at. Like maybe, I don't want to look at data quality results. You can overlay certain results that you want with the layers, similar to like a Google Maps, some kind of thingy, where you want to overlay the traffic information. Here you can overlay, hey, I want to look at specific tag, where are all these data it's processing, and so on. So that's and also kind of, if you have thousands of nodes, we're going to be paginate those so that you can actually get to more incrementally view this lineage graph rather than everything coming at you. So a lot more simplistic features there coming in, along with overlaying the incident information so that you can do the root cause analysis right here in OpenMetadata. So that's the lineage work that we have done in 1.3.0, and a lot more to come.
Harsha, is there a column level search?
Yes. So you can actually look at column, drop it here. So let me see. Customer ID is my favorite thing. So it will do update and expand. So you can look at the customer ID. I don't think we have any linked items here, but the idea is wherever the customer ID happens, it will show that graph. So that's how the column level lineage works. Column level search rather in the lineage. So that's a lineage and alerts and notifications. So what we have shipped so far, OpenMetadata started supporting change events since 0.5 release back in 2021 itself. So what is a change event in OpenMetadata, right? So if you go to any table, any change that you're doing, and one of the coolest things is the version history that you see here, any change that might be happening within your source system, be it Snowflake, be it your Power BI, be it your dashboards, anything that your users are making any changes to your source system are coming to OpenMetadata and making changes. It becomes a change event for us. That change event is used to create version history and also being sent to your favorite notification system, could be a Slack, could be a webhook, could be MS Teams, so that your team is informed of all the changes that is happening. For example, in observability kind of things, a schema getting changed, you want to notify all your consumers downstream in your lineage, or are your followers of this particular data table. So they are informed of upcoming change that is happening within OpenMetadata as well as within a source system. And so one of the underlying parts that we used as part of generating these change events is Nmax disruptor. So if you are interested in anything related to queuing, I highly recommend kind of going and reading about it. It's one of the coolest things. As part of a library, it generates, gives us a lot of queue kind of behavior extremely fast in terms of nature and how we publish these things. So one of the limitations of that is Nmax distributor does really well. We have been able to kind of use it for past almost 2 years without majority of issues. But we want to kind of give a lot of kind of customization and ability to kind of create multiple alerts and everything else. So let's say you created an alert for, let's go jump in here. Test case alerts, right? We are creating a test case alert where we are saying is, if the test case belong to, in this case, an owner name, any of these statuses, send an owners to an email, right? You can create these kind of alerts, n number of alerts. So each alert kind of processing these change events on its own, right? And how do we kind of preserve that state so that if the server goes down, if there is an error happens, how do we resume where we left off? So there is some edge condition issue that we are running into with LMAX disruptor, and we want to kind of stabilize that and provide more scalable kind of way of handling the change event handlers, sending the alerts to your favorite system, similar to notifications and everything. So in line with the philosophy behind OpenMetadata, so with OpenMetadata, we kept everything very simple architecturally to make it easy for to run OpenMetadata really simply. Essentially, you have two hard dependencies when you're running OpenMetadata, right? Along with OpenMetadata server, you have a database and an Elasticsearch or OpenSearch. Even if Elasticsearch or OpenSearch goes down, you can re-index all of your data into Elastic and OpenSearch. So with that, we don't want to introduce another component that makes it really hard for you to kind of, again, build, let's say, Kafka-like system or whatnot. So what we have done is, within the database, we know change events are progressing incrementally, right? Think of this as change event table. Whenever there is a change that is happening, we are receiving, we are putting that record into change event. Similarly, what we used to do before as well. So right now, what we're doing with 1.3.0 is use change event is kind of a queuing mechanism. So whenever you create any automation workflow, could be an alert, could be a tag propagation, could be anything, it can read off this change event incrementally and send that to your Slacks, your webhooks, and whatnot. So when any error happens, this is something that we are going to do in future, is it can write into a dead letter queue. But what happens right now is, let's say there are 100 events. I'm able to successfully process up to 8 events. On 81st event, Slack is having errors. Slack is went down. We're going to stop processing there, and we wait until the Slack comes back or your alerting mechanism comes back, and we'll send that. We will retry that event again. All right. Similarly, right? So you have an event that came into change event, and something happened. The server went down, right? And your alert should come back when the server comes back and read from that where it left off. So the goal of this alert delivery mechanism is to make extremely stable what we call in queuing mechanisms as at least once delivery. So you are made sure that the alert is sent at least once to your destination mechanism. So that's the improvements that we made. So if you go back here, let me go and add a couple of things here. So we separated observability. Under the observability, now you see alerts. So when you go to the alerts, these are specific to observability of the data in nature. So what I mean by that, so let's go to the add alert. You can select the source, any sources you want. Let's say I'm going to select table. I'm going to go to the trigger. So here for the table, I can get schema changes or get table metrics updates. I can also look at, let's say, pipeline. This pipeline could be your Airflow tags, your prefect, your tagster, whatnot. In this case, you can observe about get pipeline status updates. For example, if it's failed, I want to get notified. If it's pending, I want to get notified. So you can make this custom different, specific, very specific to observability style of things. If I go to the test case, again, you can get test case updates. In this case, is it aborted? Is it failed? Is it queued? And once you select, what is your trigger mechanism here, you can add a destination. In here, you can notice some changes here. Now you have admins, followers, owners, teams, and users. You also have generic Slack and everything. So what we have done here is, if I go to my users page, can go sorry, this is supposed to be Teams page. So by users, we actually use the email. For Teams, you can actually now go and create for example, analytics team. You can create a subscription where you can say that I can, for this team, I want all the notifications goes to a generic webhook, a MS Teams, or Slack endpoint. So let's say I have a team that owns hundreds of data assets, and I want to make sure my team is informed any changes of those assets. And I don't want to bombard a generic channel and kind of, giving too much spam to all of my company. So now you can create a specific channel for my team and let the alerts flow to that is responsible for my team only into that channel. So that is a customization we have done. So once you have done that, so you can actually say that, okay, specific team, you can choose, let's in this case, applications, you can choose their, subscription based, right? So in this case, application MS Teams, please make sure if the teams have configured MS Teams to receive these alerts. So essentially it goes to that teams and extract that their MS Teams webhook publishes that. So now observability, we create alerts that is specific to your, alerts specific to observability in nature, which is pipeline statuses, schema changes, data quality, and so on. But you want to also get, let's say, hey, I have a need. Whenever there is someone task opens, an incident manager task opens, I want to get notified. And an announcement is made, I want to get notified. That's where notifications comes into play. So notifications is anything metadata changes, kind of look like the overall picture is kind of similar. For example, in this case, I want to get announcement. I want all these announcements to go to admins, or a specific Slack channel, or specific teams, and so on. So what we have done is anything that is related to very critical operations, you go to data observability and create the alert. Anything that is generic in nature, hey, whenever there's a task opens, send me an email. Whenever there's announcements open, send me an email. All of that goes into notifications. And everything is backed by change events as a durable queue. So whenever there is new change happens, we take that, publishes onto it. If there is an error happens, we make sure we retry it and we keep the offset of where we read so far. So you never miss an alert coming to OpenMetadata. So those are the changes that came into 1.3.0. It makes the overall alerts and notification a very stable feature, a very configurable feature in terms of where the alert should go and how your users receive these alerts. Yeah, any questions so far?
Are the alerts shown in OpenMetadata also?
In the activity feed, you meant? Yes. So any changes, you can. Any activities that is happening within your team, or depending on if you're an admin or an organization, you get all of these alerts as part of your activity feed as well, right? So your test case is failing, for example, in this case, someone upvoted, someone changed the description. All of those are always flowing in your activity feed. And other cool things while we are here, I want to point out we have a browser extension that you can sign to your instance. So in this case, I sign into Sandbox, I get all my activity feed right here as well. So maybe you're working in something else, you don't have time to look at OpenMetadata on a daily basis, the browser extension will come and give you an activity feed. There's a lot more interesting thing on the browser extension. Maybe we should do a special talk for that. We have done a lot of improvements to the browser extension as well. So maybe next meeting we can cover those. But to talk to what Suresh said, activity feed is there that encompasses alerts is pushing all of these activities, specific alerts and everything else where you want to expose those information to wider audience and get them back to the platform or whatnot. So all of these will help you. Now, if you look at kind of in summary, what we have done so far, incident manager, lineage, and alerts. If you're looking at OpenMetadata as just your catalog, that's where we are kind of completely different from regular catalogs in the market. Is we are a unified platform for discovery, observability, and data governance. You know the discovery features. Now with today's, you're able to now create a test case, ability to view the test results over a period of time. Now, if a test case failures, an instance will open and automatically notify all of your users about the incident that is happening. With Lineage, now you will be able to overlay all the critical information to analyze what data is right to use, how they are behaving, in terms of data quality and everything, so that you can do root cause analysis. Finally, alerts and notifications. Where you are working, you can send that alert to someone saying that, hey, something is changing in your data. Better you look at it. Your pipeline is failed. Your data quality test is failed. Maybe we should go and immediately take a look at it. So all of this will give you a one centralized platform to manage your data, to discover your data, to observe and govern. And that's one of the unique things, one of the great things about OpenMetadata is to bring all of these different personas together. Right. So that concludes what my features are. If there is any questions, happy to take it.
Hey, I have a question if no one else does. Has anybody, I guess it's a bit more of a broad question, but has anybody discussed or requested the idea of having data contracts to be able to be included as something like a data asset?
That sounds great. I think we should continue this discussion on Slack, and then bring all of these things through one interface, where it is combined and presented as data contracts, right? Where all the various signals can be consumed in a coherent way.
In any case, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for being here, asking questions either directly for the open ones or through Slack or whatnot. As Teddy said, please, let's keep this discussion coming. Let's keep all of this feedback coming. Let's make sure together that we can shape the platform in a way that it's as usable for everyone as possible. Again, thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you on the next one.